Need the Absolution story. Well, let's do it. Wait, did I click the right one? I did. Continue. Why can't I change the difficulty? Oh, whatever. You keep it normal.
Oh yeah.
So you saw him get up and walk away after that fall?
Oh yeah. Like a walking, talking angel, man.
Can you describe him? Get out of here! You're wasting my time! 20 people saw him, man. Not a single one can describe him apart from being bald with a tattoo on the back of his neck.
You really think it's the Hitman?
I don't care if it's the fucking tooth fairy. I'm gonna get him.
Detective, this was left at the front desk. Kid said give it to whoever's looking for the Hitman.
Location for the ransom exchange is set?
Yes, sir. Blackwater Park. I've already assigned 3 teams for you.
Good. We get the girl, make sure she's secure, then we take them all out and get our money back. Ransom is not in the agency budget this year.
May I ask where we're going, sir?
Hope, South Dakota. To watch the myth die.
How to Berkey's Law.
Next matter of order. Dexter Industries versus Kevin Zimmerman. Trespassing. Where's the prisoner, Sheriff?
Your Honor, the prisoner had a unfortunate accident in his cell this morning, and he's on his way to the infirmary.
I see. You think he'll pull through?
Not looking good. He fell pretty hard.
Case dismissed.
Well, I think I'm gonna mosey on down to the jail and check on the jailbirds. All right, Your Honor.
Meanwhile, he's just staring at you.
People versus Timothy Hawk, charged with
That to the
bringing
holding
destruction
cells.
destruction of private
Wait, why does that
property,
guy have a
criminal
tip-full hat?
trespassing.
Mr. Hawk is no stranger to this courtroom.
The defendant is
Oh, so
pleading
what the
not
fuck?
guilty by reason of extraordinary
Hey,
circumstances.
jail engine is guidance
Petition,
goodbye.
Your Honor, to dismiss that defense on the basis of video evidence that
That
establishes
description the
defendant's
detective got, he's
guilty.
bald with a tattoo in the back of the head. Oh, barcode.
The floor.
How is that not enough?
They're using the gnomes to enslave us. I'm not mad.
How is that enough distinct
You are not the state.
info up to go
You'll
on?
have your chance
Not
to
many
spoke
people have a
business
barcode in the back of the head.
State?
And are bald. At least I wouldn't think so.
The state has videotaped evidence of the defendant caught in the act of most of the charges on this docket.
We repeat our belief that the defendant is not mentally competent and ought to be removed immediately for comprehensive psychiatric evaluation. But, as Your Honor has already dismissed that request, we will continue to make our case.
I've seen the documents. It's all in black and white, in English, French, Chinese, and Tex-Mex. Destroy the gnomes before it's too late. The UN won't stop until they can control all our brains.
Simmer down, Mr. Hawk.
What the fuck kind of case is this?
67 garden gnomes at Baldwin's garden shop.
Baldwin's UN Mind Control Distribution Center, you mean? I'm fighting for all of us, don't you get it?
State would like to repeat its request to get the defendant into psychiatric evaluation.
I'm not crazy. It was the fall of the Seventh Empire. That's when the UN made its plan. And the gnomes have eyes. Those are the cameras. They have ears. Those are the microphones. They transmit and send signals to the towers. The relays, the satellites. They have infrared cerebral wave monitors inside that can make you do things. They make you move. They make you think something you wouldn't normally think. Foil bounces the waves. I'm the only sane one here!
Your Honor, if we can't get this lunatic into appropriate medical care, let's just review the videotaped evidence, huh? The legitimacy of which the defense has.
Can we? Oh, should I be gonna see that? There's a TV right there.
And go home.
All right, let's watch some movies. Who's got the popcorn?
He also wants popcorn, hey.
You got that VCR up and running?
Anyone got popcorn in the chat room? To share with the judge. What are we looking at? It's him stealing gnomes?
Would defense care to make a statement at this time?
Objection! Out of order! These illegal
Out
videos
of
only
order.
show what I did, not why I had to do the things I did. I demand videotape of the UN Security Council's secret meeting of June 17th, 1953.
Motive is
What
flexible.
videotape of that you seen?
Yours, Mr. Hawk. I strongly dislike my brother-in-law because I happen to know he's a drunken gambling ass. That does not give me carte blanche to slash his tires or kidnap his Irish setters or take a baseball bat to his skull. More's the pity. We're gonna watch this videotape one more time. When it's over, you're going to plead not guilty by reason of complete imbecility. Or I'm gonna sentence you to the maximum sentence allowed by the laws of our great state. Maestro, if you will.
Yes, Your Honor, right away.
Boring!
Did he just see that? What the-
Mr. Hawk.
I'm more interested in this plot
Nice
than the plot of the main
Where did you
story.
make it? How do you sleep at night?
We did not make this, Mr. Hawk. This is you caught red-handed on camera at the scene of the crime.
Man, what an
I think I know how
amateur.
this ends.
At least you should have wanted this guy, man. He's still wearing the tinfoil hat, even in the video.
Disorder. No, he was really the serial killer all along.
Just watch the movie, Mr. Hawk.
Over already, though.
That is not me.
What do you mean that's not you? You have the same tinfoil hat.
If that is me, then the UN must have made me do it.
What a
They
solid
didn't do
defense.
that.
That sounds an awful lot like a confession to me, Mr. Hawk.
Boring.
Be quiet.
Oh no, she's gonna repeat. He's not gonna confess. Now we're just stuck in the loop.
Nice production value. Where did you make it? How do you sleep at night?
We did not
No.
make this, Mr. Hawk. This is you caught red-handed on camera at the scene of the crime.
Now I just repeat. That was fun though.
Hey,
Oh yeah, right. People find it sus if I run. Howdy. They don't find it sus. They're just like, what the fuck is this lunatic doing? Why is he running in the middle of the call room?
Look, there's only a few minutes till we're on. We need to go over this again. Yeah.
So, I assume you'll be joining the rest of the ladies for the
Pod users move freely around all areas of cars.
Oh no, I don't know. I mean, those things aren't really there. I'm not it's just not my kind of thing, you know?
You don't have to get all defensive with me. They aren't exactly my cup of tea either.
Cup of tea? You're a funny guy, Bill. I mean, you're sweet. You're not always trying to be all macho.
Don't let my suave sophistication fool you, Jolene. Underneath all this charm and refinement, I'm all man.
Well, I know that. I wouldn't find you so interesting otherwise.
Find me interesting, do you?
You just turn everything right around on a girl, don't you?
Only
It's a very long flashlight. Jesus.
I suppose I will join the ladies for the girls' night out since no interesting men have come along to offer me an evening of romance.
The lengthy flashlight, sir.
7 o'clock sharp. And dress nice. You are taking me to La Brea's in Chatwick.
Amazing. I'm just gonna hang out here and stare at you with awe for a while, Jolene. I got nothing planned for the next 30, 40 years anyway.
Don't mind the bald man. Don't mind the bald man eavesdropping. First thing I have is a kitty cat.
You can't prove that. Maybe someone stole it from me.
There's only one guy in here, though. I think. Yeah, only one guy. Oh, yeah, right. The only... How would I take this guy out? If I can't throw the fire extinguisher at him. Can't even throw the vase at him. This has to be lethal or work. Oh, the radio. The... Oh wait, the other guy comes in here, right? Oh wow, that's just stupid. Of course he turns it on like that. Why wouldn't you do it from here? Of course he goes over here. Who's finding this sus? That guy really coming in here? Yes. Oh my god, this takes like 5 years. Jesus Christ.
Whoa, who turned that on?
Oh. I totally didn't just take that guy down with the revolver. Up in the closet. Very smooth and stealthy 47. I still had the revolver equipped because I picked it up. So he just took him down with the fucking unsilenced revolver. Nice.
Everything looks normal here.
Yeah, we checked everywhere around here. There's nothing. There had to be some kind of animal or something. Let's get back.
Has to have been some kind of animal. Yes, it was a rat. It was a rat with a revolver. A rat with a gun that blasted that poor officer in the back. And they are just gonna leave his corpse. What am I right now? Yeah, what am I right now? I'm a cop, right? Well, now I have the disguise to go back there, but I still need the fucking key. Yeah. But hey, it actually kind of worked, I guess. Because we cleared out this room now. They were all in here before. Oh, there we go. What? Oh, those guys. What's up, boys? I hope you'll be able to find this bald guy. I'm just gonna go take the person's out. Yeah, everyone is on high alert. Oh, fuck, I went the wrong way. Over there's the only way to get down. This is your chance, tinfoil hat guy. Run, escape. Oh, you can. I could have sabotaged that too. This is not gonna work. I'm gonna run on instinct. Unless I just casually sit behind you. This ain't gonna work. Oh my god. I just had enough to get past all 4 of them. Oh, that works. Hey, nice. Good to see you also found the apple. You're also enjoying yourself a nice little apple. It's like 47. Sheriff Dennis. Apple 47. This is Dennis. No.
Can you hear me? Steady.
Steven Seagal, we don't give a joyful about anybody's fucking religion. We don't care what their ethnicity is. We don't care. We let do what anyone wants. It's like the great Genghis Khan once said, practice your own religion, but pay tax to me. It's like a monkey trying to joyful of football now.
That caught his mic and oh, they censored Justin. It's like a monkey trying to joyful of football now, really. This thing, it's a book. Now, really. That's really the... that just gets me every time. Oh god, why'd you start like that? That he says, not really. Like a monkey trying to fuck football, not really. I can't even... Wait, are you reading H.C. Anderson? What are you reading? What are you reading? I want to know what you're reading. He becomes invincible. What am I doing in here? We're venting. No, really.
I'm trying to write you this letter for 14 years. Today is my last chance.
Oh, really?
This afternoon, I will pay for my mistakes with my life. It's only fair. As you know, if you've read the papers, my life as a mercenary and all the pain I've caused. Most of it is true. I should regret it all. I should be scared of dying. But I'm not. I can't anymore. The only feeling I have left is regret. Regret that I'll never...
How's the act? I was thinking that too when he said mercenary.
You're all that matters. Sorry, I've never understood.
I was like...
Your father, Kane.
He's just like Steven. In the mercenary together with Steven. Can I free him? I want to free him. That's the exit. Is it even here? I might have passed it. I don't know. Who cares? Let's go. I want to free him, but I think it was back there or something. Locate Victoria. You want to free the criminal? The fuck? What? But you can clearly tell his story for what he's done. Man just wants to see his daughter one last time. Prisoner could use assistance. Oh man, exactly. The guy just wants to see his daughter one last time. Can I help him too? Help me. Wait, these guys... No, they do find me sus. Never mind. What am I doing here? I have to press a button. That's what I'm doing. Okay. Up. Struck against the wall. Why is that a wrench here? Did he really hear that? Someone just said, Yeah, no one gave a fuck about that. Dump him in the closet, which takes like 5 years. But is he dead? Was I too late? Are you serious? Why is this guy coming this way? I surrender. I give up.
Yeah, that's right. Just keep them hands up. Don't you move a muscle.
I'll never.
Just wait and see what the sheriff's gonna say when I bring your pasty bald ass in.
Pasty bald
Just
ass.
let him go.
Wow, nice 147. Why did it auto-equip the revolver and not the silver ballers? Thank you, video game. Yeah, they actually beat him to death. He's fucking dead. Feels police brutality, man. Oh. These guys are about to feel some 47 brutality.
Shit. We got trouble, guys. We got trouble. I need help.
Can you hip fire? You sure can. Well, that's one way of doing it. Nah, I like the blue police outfit. Actually, I should probably take this. I don't even think this guy's allowed in here. Oh, never mind, I still have the exclamation mark. Man, just cutting like it's one of those Hitman movies. Forehead. Jesus Christ, yeah. I mean, that's basically what this is. At least to me, that's basically what this is. Like a Hitman movie. Like one of those Hitman movies. But as a game. Yeah, there's nothing else around I can do. Yeah, it's a non-canon game. Yeah, they were just messing around here back then. They were trying to have some fun, you know. They wanted to make a gritty movie like Hitman game, but then yeah, I don't know. It doesn't quite feel right, you know. Doesn't quite feel right. Feels very weird. Feels like a game from a different dimension.
You remember tape decks? Exactly the same. Just think of the disc as a cassette. Just put it in and no, by pressing the button that's open. It's in.
Sledgehammer? Don't mind if we do. Is that a ladder? Oh. Did they have a fucking underground fight scene? He said his. What the fuck did he do? Yeah, they showed you love that boxing in this, and the wrestling, and other things. What the? This part of the game feels so odd. Like this person part, I don't know. It feels like I'm in a horror game now all of a sudden. The chain looks fragile. Oh, well. Good thing I picked up this sledgehammer. What's in here? This secret? Easter egg? But does it just take me back to the fighting? Oh, no, I think it's just an alternate way to get past the chain. Yeah, it is. Horror 47. It's just like a horror game now. There is a horror Easter egg in one of the games, but I think that's blood money or something. Or you can like find the ghost in the mirror.
I remember when I was your age.
What the fuck?
I didn't know.
Fucking clap. Amateur hour 47.
Oh, down for the count. How about a little extra just to make sure you're cooked real good? Yeah, Dexter. Yeah, no problemo. Yeah, just some bald fuck. Told you I'm a professional.
It's just some bald fuck.
Yeah, he's sleeping like a baby.
Amateur 47, man. It truly is a fake game. Yeah. He like gets taken down the most silliest ways in this. Like the way we just saw, he fucking got electrocuted. How did he not see that? Then earlier when he got taken down by that macho man in the beginning, that big buff guy, he tried to fiber wire him in the beginning of the game. Like, what? Why would he do that? And that giant guy, what? Why would you think that would work? Why did I just shoot him at that point? And then you're already like, when he's already murdered other people. Why not 47? Get it together.
Good morning, sunshine.
Morning, Mr. Dexter.
Morning, partner.
Well. Where's my boy?
Bonus.
Where is my boy, you son of a bitch?
That's my boy.
Okay. You play tough? You got it, asshole. See that little girl over there everybody's so fond of? Well, my scientists tell me that this is what revs her up. Look at her now. Weak as a little kitten. Mr. Dexter, fuck off! Fuck! What the fuck kind of place you running here, Clive?
Hell, that ain't mine.
Jesus Christ, you
That's Mrs. Cooper's.
sick fuck! You killed my boy, didn't you?
Look, man, just tell him what he
Look,
wants to
man,
know.
she says.
Accidents happen in
Oh,
this jail
God.
all the time.
Hey, Mr. Dexter, come on. You go on about your business. I'll take care of this guy. Let's go.
I want my boy back, Clive.
I ain't let you
Oh,
down
boy.
yet, have I? Go on. Yeah, it's gonna be you and me now.
This game is so weird, man. What the fuck? We just witnessed Part 2, Operation Sledgehammer. Break free. Escape the jail. Oh, well, that was easy. He wasn't even handcuffed. Ultimate plot twist. They just made him believe he was handcuffed. Masterminds. Anything funny drawn on the door? Where's there's no dicks? How surprising. Nice drawing. Oh, it's actually a pretty nice drawing of the skeleton.
God damn it. It's typical. Just typical. I'm on it.
Go to sleep, my bald brother. Oh. Did you put him in the crate? Bit rate went crazy there for a second. So I though. Go to sleep, my brother. Steven shit. I'll avenge you, my brother. Is this a prisoner? Why can't I go in here? Can I free that prisoner? God, he is just crying his heart out. Jesus.
Yeah, we'll do. Thought I was just a Sarge. He looked very happy. Probably had a session, if you know what I mean, right?
A session, huh?
Anyway, I left the pistolas for you to pick up at the front desk. Oh yeah, they are beautiful.
Jenny.
Actually,
Wait, that's
I'm thinking of using them for my son's birthday. Ah yeah, 10 years old.
The guy, yo, that's the girl, the guy we're talking about.
He's a big boy now, gonna take after his pop. And you know what? Big boys, they require big guns. That's right.
Hell yeah, bro.
All right, brother. Talk to you soon. Bye.
He just said brother too. Feels Kekona, man. What are you doing? Are you just gonna sit there? Come with me. Can I have your hat? I don't think I'm gonna get his hat, am I? Oh, I did. Park. Worth it. Upgrade. Upgraded this guy. I have a hat now. I've got a hat. Well, brother, just like him now. Oh, okay. Covering the baldness. Exactly. They'll never know who to look for now. They'll never know I'm 1847. Hope County Jail, no place to start a fight. Where does the vent take me? Why do you have a light of 47?
Every year at the Hope Fair, we have to haul your drunken ass in.
I'm not drunk. I'm just festive.
Please. I can smell it from over here. So what is it this year? Defecating in the water fountain?
What? Why is the bitrate going crazy? The bitrate can't handle the strange Hitman game. Oh, now we're ready to start fighting here. Can I actually take this guy down? It sure is. This Hitman is way too much. It's truly something else. It truly feels like a game from a different dimension or something. It's crazy. Like I said last Friday, it's crazy this game even exists. So very different from all the other ones. The ones before it. And the newer ones. Like a different studio made this game.
I don't normally complain, but it's every 30 minutes.
Well, thanks for the silver bowlers.
And it's right before fair day too. I'm trying to win a goldfish.
Those are Dexter Industry trucks.
No, it wasn't. It's made by IO Interactive. The ones that, yeah. The ones that have made all the Hitman games.
Hey, that guy. What's his name? Hey, keep up.
No, Dexter.
But it sure does feel like it's made by a different studio.
Fuck! We're taking over your town.
What the fuck?
Who the fuck are you? This is my fucking town.
Let him know we're serious.
Ow! Don't shoot me! I'm the sheriff!
Why would he? What? Oh my! Is that gonna explode? Feels Michael Bay movie, man.
Christ, what a dipshit.
Bizarre. Very bizarre. Outgunned. What's up, guys? The agency assault troop was highly skilled and well equipped at a rare confrontation would prove unwise. No way this works. Me just wandering down here and over there.
What?
Oh shit. I'm gonna die climbing up this ladder. Oh, maybe not. What? I thought these guys were supposed to be highly trained and skilled. What just exploded? What the fuck is happening? Yeah, this definitely feels like a Hitman game, huh? Now I turned into a cover shooter. Hitman game, by the way. Exactly, Hitman game, by the way. We're playing Call of Duty now. Let's go. Gotta get enough kills for that attack chopper. Let's go. I get my AC-130. That guy keeps moving. Wait, he's right there. Is that a person? That is. Well, now it's a dead corpse. Should have been a John Wick game instead, man. This was the John Wick game, it would have been much better, but this was before John Wick was even out, pretty sure. I'm too fast. Oh, really? I have to kill them. Whose blood is this? Actually, I think we could just... Oh wait, no, he's on his way. How the fuck? So we should make a John Wick game. Exactly. Make a John Wick game and make it like make it like this game. That could work. That would have been like a million times better. But then still, calm down with the lens flares, okay? Relax on the lens flares. They're making a James Bond game though, so. Kojima, let's see. I mean, just look at this. Fucking count the lens flares on screen right now. They went overboard with that. It's stupid. You should for my shoot MGS. I know, right? All these fucking lens flares. I mean, just look at it. Look at his clothes, how shiny and reflective it is. And just look at the amount of lens flares here. Insanity. Oh yeah, they're currently working on a James Bond game. He'll be leaving a trail of blood behind. Wait, oh, the sheriff? Wait, the sheriff is still alive? Oh. Get the fuck out of there, boys. It's the bird of fire. Classic MGS. It might as well be the man on fire. Everything's on fire all of a sudden. With decreases ability from the smoke, the troopers are easily distracted. Oh, I can't fault that. Wait, that is the only way. Oh yeah, there we see that. Even the chapter's name is Bird. Might as well be the man on fire at this point. What was that? How am I killing these guys? I thought they had really advanced armor. By a cowboy hat. It's 10-4, 10-4. We're looking for a bald man. Anyone seen a bald man? Out of instinct. Quick! The door! Jesus. Advanced arm of my bunky ass, yeah. Still died to a silly pistol. I don't have to kill him.
One day, I'll get out of this godforsaken town and join up with you guys.
Did it anyways, though. Put an end to his miseries. I think that was him? I don't know. He looked like him. He didn't have the glasses. That was an innocent civilian. Wait, what? What the fuck was he doing there? Why was he there? He looked exactly like him, except he didn't have sunglasses. I just saw he lost them or something. You cold murderer. You cold-blooded killer. What the fuck's going on there? The open square makes the enemy highly vulnerable sniper rifle. It's fine. This isn't Agent 47. It's okay.
Alpha team, what's your status? Over.
Pew pew.
This is Alpha. Perimeter suite came up empty. Checking the buildings. Over.
Yeah, oh good man. I don't know what this game is. Yeah. Yeah, I have no idea. This is so strange. Like, the game encourages you to kill and everything. Which gives you minus point. Which is also just so strange to me. I don't even, do I want to even take him out? I remember that was a whole talk about that here in Denmark back when this game first came out. It was like a whole discussion about it on TV, like, oh, why would you make a game that encourages you to kill when the whole point of the game is to not kill? There's like a whole mini controversy about that back then when this game first came out. Yeah, it didn't work. Which is very strange. That the game encourages you to be a cold-blooded killer. Even though that's not the point of the game. That's not what Hitman does. And it gives you minus points.
Command, be advised we have a casualty. Stay alert, proceed with caution.
Exactly. He says, when did he turn into Rambo or John Wick? Huh? Since when did that happen? I thought he was supposed to be a stealthy, sneaky, lethal assassin that killed people in all sorts of creative ways. So that killed his targets in all sorts of creative ways, but now instead this game encourages you to be Rambo. Just fucking kill everyone. Murder everyone. Encourage you to be a cold-blooded killer. Like, I mean, like even if you don't even kill anyone, like even if you pacify someone, that also gives you minus points, which is also just fucking strange.
Top man for all those years.
Nice. Breaking. The game is devoid of logic. I agree. There is no rhyme or reason to this game. What happens in it? There is a few cool scenes though, like that whole thing in the desert with that guy. That's pretty cool. And the 2 Easter eggs you can do. A reckoning. Time to pay for your sins, sir. This is your come to Jesus moment, sir. When they call me.
I want you to shut the fuck up.
Oh.
I want you to pay attention and understand one thing. If I'm gonna try to save you, and if I'm gonna try to help you, you need to talk to me. You need to listen to what I say, when I say, how I say, and if you don't, I will leave you here to get eaten by the fucking jackals. Who are coming soon.
That's perfect for the desert scene, that one. Yeah, I don't remember which one it is. Exactly, we do need a dictionary, man.
Does that hurt? You fucking pussy.
That hurt? You fucking pussy. Let me see if I can find it. Oh no, it's not 7 either. Is it 10 or 11? Oh, it might be, yeah.
That means one of us has
it's
to
not
die.
10.
We will leave it to fate. You were always a cheat.
You were always a cheat. Was it 8? Oh god, I don't know. I wish I named them. Exclamation mark, Steven, way too fucking many. I agree. I have to keep track of them all, man. Oh, yeah, that's a genius idea. Make a section of them the beat. is actually an amazing idea. Easy way to keep track of. Wait, no, it's not that one. There it is. What is that? Ah, yeah, it is 8. You're right. It is 8. Yeah, I don't know. The cooldown is a bit fucked. There you go. Now it plays.
You know, I get the feeling that you're talking around me. And, you know, using some fucking Zen riddles or some shit. When they call me in, it ain't a fucking joke. It ain't about who stole some fucking boots and cigarettes from the barracks. When they call me in, it's your fucking neck. When they call me in, you're gonna live or you're gonna fucking die. This is the fucking come to Jesus moment. And I was not born on a fucking turnip truck, man. And I was not born at night. I was born in a bright fucking sunny day, man, and I've been doing this for a long time. Do not think I'm fucking new. Do not think you can play me.
Fucking move! You're a coward, Sheriff Skirky!
Let's get to the fucking nitty-gritty here. What the fuck happened?
Wow, right as the cutscene ended. And then I died.
Oh yeah! Oh yeah!
How did I get shot? Excuse me?
Skirky, not jerky! Yeah!
And what was that Batman Arkham Knight death screen? Was I supposed to click another button? Shoot him. I had to click square. The middle stick. This is your fucking come to Jesus moment.
I can't die in a church.
Last time, where's Victoria?
Oh, go fuck yourself. Blackwater Park! Blackwater Park!
This music. Wow, what a scene. Stealth. He was never there. You'll work 47. Like this says suit only. Those eyebrows though, they are fucking something else, man. I know, they are very thick. And they call me. This man just clipped that. Hey, thank you. Appreciate it, brother. Thank you for clipping that. That was a plunger I could have found too. They call me in. Oh, dude, we're playing Freelancer now. Let's go. Wow, you stole the church vehicle, mortgage vehicle. I don't know what that's called. Safe journey, 47.
Safe journey, 47.
Thank you, Justin. Chicago. Is he gonna get himself a fancy suit? Is that the mission? Is that the next level? Just me getting a suit? Part free. One of a kind.
Tom, I need a new suit.
Oh, Mr. 47. What a pleasure. Oh. Yes, I can tell you need a new suit. Now please follow me. Come this way.
The John Wick dress up scene.
Come to my
It already feels like that. Something out of John Wick. Get
Please,
suit.
Step inside, 47.
True form. There, you finally got his signature outfit.
Quite an improvement over your old suit. Look.
When the game's nearly over.
Reinforced seams, invisible stitching, and, of course, silk linings.
Thanks, man.
Fits like a glove. Would there be anything else?
Oh, that was Zatara. Now the game begins for real. He left his silver ballers out in the car. That'll be all, friend. That'll be all, Tom. Sick mission. The only mission in the whole game that feels like Hitman. That feels like a true Hitman, though. You walking in, getting his suit, and then leaving. Very cool level. Toughest level in the whole game, yep. That was definitely the hardest one of them all.
Hey there, fuckface. Alright, dickhead, where's the girl?
Very good friends.
Layla. See? Girl's a one piece. You want to keep her that way. I want to see 10 million right now, like we agreed.
Well, now
That is what you call me, too.
I don't have that kind of signing authority. You what? You don't have what? Are you fucking kidding me? Oh, no. See, that's not how this works, partner. Because you better find someone who's got the authority right now, or the deal's over. You got the 3. Well, let me talk to my superior. 3. The fuck? Fucking asshole! What the fuck are you doing? God damn it!
Wrecked.
Bet you. I'm sorry.
Oh, wait, was that?
Well, the fun's over, Honcho. 10
I
million
don't
right
think-
now. And you fuck with me, it'll be 10 million more.
That Elon Musk? Yeah.
Okay,
Hitman's version of Elon Musk. And a more cowboy version of him.
You're a nice piece of ass, honey. What are you doing with Limp Dick?
Pig.
You have no idea. Hey, fuck off! Where's the girl? I'll give you a call in a little while. Let you know where you can find Victoria. Come on, darling. Making money makes me horny.
What? Alright.
You gave that psychopath our money just like that?
Yeah, well, he's not as dumb as he looks. Nobody outruns the agency.
What a cutscene. Give that idiot our money just like that. Nice. Alright, now back to fucking Agent 86 over here. Probably. What's he up to? Yep. Up at the whole time. You just missed it. We burned that entire little town. Because a fuel truck exploded. Blackwater Park. That fuel truck exploded and then an entire village burned down. And then an Agent 47 walked away like a badass. With the whole village burning in the background. Like the badass he is. Exactly. Just like that. Oh, I thought that was chocolate. I didn't know that was C4. That's funny. Yeehaw. These guys like me? Yeah, they're okay with me. Nice.
What's going on here?
Beats me. I just hope we can get in.
Nothing's under security like that. You're residents out tonight, actress.
Sorry, sir, ma'am. Blackwater is temporarily shut down. No one can enter and no one can leave.
Excuse me, we live here.
I understand, but there is a potential threat.
What kind of threat?
Yeah, we're not sure, ma'am.
You gotta be kidding me. I don't believe it. You don't get it. We live here.
I understand. Now you must understand there is a potential threat here. So please, try and find some
What is this asshole doing that just keeps walking back and forth? Right in the middle of these three having a conversation.
Good evening to you too.
Alright, well. Time to become Spider-Man. Climb the wall. Holy, free couriers and a safe. Yeah, that's easy money backs right there.
Yeah, just let a plumber through. Papers were in
Buildings here to protect all. Here to protect all. You don't see me. Stop pretending. You don't see me. I'm not here. I'm like a phantom. I was never there. Can't climb that. What the? Can I sneak behind him?
Step back, please, or lose your arm.
See, I told you. Like a phantom. I was never there. Oh, this is the plumber. Guy takes some. Oh my god. Wait, did he? What are you, 46, 48, huh? Very funny, Mr. Comedian. Give me your outfit. I am the plumber now. I know, right? Right, Joker? What a fucking comedian. He's Agent 86. Yeah, I remember hearing that line somewhere too in the newer Hitmans. Are you serious? I'm not allowed to have a knife? Fuck, I need to find the closet. This will do. Run, Asian Plover. Am I allowed to have a bat? Nope. I'll keep the bat.
I need the manager at 10th. If you see him, ask him to find me.
Is this illegal? I understand this personally. The only alternative would be a system override switch.
No one but me lets people into that elevator. Understood?
Okay, jeez, chill.
What did you say?
Yes, ma'am. Understood.
That was a save point somewhere. Where's over here?
Hey, sharp threads, buddy.
Where did I come from?
Smarter than you really are. You. You wanted to
Oh,
talk
here
to
we
me?
go.
Yes.
What does he want? The situation is not going to change. We still have a potential threat. Got it, asshole?
Isn't she lovely? Like a pit viper.
Tell him he has 5 minutes. I'll meet him in the conference room.
Is this just another plumber outfit? Oh no, I am... What am I? What am I? A hotel staff?
Because of that bitch, we don't even have access to the upstairs. Not even the boss. Only Miss Pretty Titties over there. I mean, how am I supposed to do my job?
Pretty titties.
I'll put my cutlass in, we'll see if I get upstairs, huh?
It looks more like the hotel boss. Exactly. Why does the staff look like this? This is what the receptionist was wearing. Really fancy looking staff.
I'm sure my guys will find a way to get in without you.
You need 45mm movie reel to activate this projector. Hi. Oh, well, that was easy. Can I turn it on with anyone without anyone finding it sus? Hey man, how's it going? Oh, okay, you got me.
Smart move. Smarter than I thought. Cool. Don't try anything funny.
Oh my god, why does it autopilot to the unsilence? Smooth. Oh my god, what happened in here? Holy shit, it's crazy. How did he just die like that?
What's going on? You! Step away from goddamn!
What did this do? Turned on something. Shrug. I don't know what happened to him. Oh no, what? The other four didn't work. No. The ultimate save strat. Ah, because it was a loaded territory, I guess. Rip. Rip the run. There is a crowd. What? Why is it saying there is a crowd? Oh, extra whip. How far were you into that campaign? Oh, and rip 50k. Ah, second part. Ah, okay, so a little bit halfway. Into the bathroom.
We're not ready.
No, and you lost the full dog pyramid. No, that's extra mega rip. Not the dogs, man. My rubber duckies. Holy. But here, weapons to choose from. Oh, really, 47? Oh, the door closed. Nice. Hide on the donuts. Oh, is it over there? Have you overridden?
Could you put a word in for me with your company? You know, I'm thinking of leaving the force.
You $1 million, I know you from somewhere. Sir, step over here a minute. Do I know you?
Oh, right, you have to do this. I did that wrong. I want to do this. God, you have to hold instinct for that. Oh my god, what happened in here? Holy shit. Quick.
What? What the hell? Oh shit!
Shh. It's never here. I was never here. Like a phantom. And sure campaigns will take a while. Yeah, that'll certainly take a good amount of time, yeah.
We are not in the clear. Repeat, not.
Not everyone's alerted in here, aren't they? Really tempted. They forgot, though. Oh, just so you can get, just so you can speedrun through them and get the 100 one. I mean, up to you. So it is a single player game after all. It's up to you. Do whatever you want. Oh, that was quick. Nice. Oh, boys. This is probably sus, isn't it? No? Oh, nice. Got it.
See anything? Calm down. Goose chase.
Just a second. Still searching.
Wait, I can't do that. Hey, why can you do that? I can't do that during gameplay. Yo, the men in black are waiting for us.
Mr. Dexter, he shot out the camera in the elevator. Coming our way.
Yes, sir, Ray. You know, they say wealth can be a great burden, but I'm willing to take it on, I'll tell you. Holy shit! Yes! That's a lot of fucking do-re-mi right there, and that's ours. That's mine. Here, buy yourself some lipstick. God damn, that's a lot of money. Yeah. What? Fuck! Are you fucking kidding me? What does it take to kill this son of a bitch? I want him dead right now. You kill him right now. You hear me? You think you can do that? No, of course you can't do that, because you're a bunch of fucking pussies. I have to do fucking everything around here.
Easy,
Jesus
baby.
fucking Christ.
It's okay, baby.
No, it's not okay. That bald fuck is coming to kick my ass.
Bald fuck.
Jesus, no, fuck.
He's got what it takes to stop any man.
You know, I think you might have something there. Counting on you.
What is she gonna do?
Come on, Angel. Let's go. Counting on you.
I got this.
Oh boy. What the fuck?
Finally! Oh God, I'm so stupid. Stupid.
Sushi delivery man?
It's not number 55 on the 22nd floor. It's number 22 on its number 25. It's number 55 on the second floor. Jesus!
But he didn't even see I'm holding the gun.
What's wrong with me, huh? You think I got dyslexia? Oh, God! Or you think I'm just stupid? Man, I'm probably just stupid. That's what my mom would say. Just stupid. You think I should get tested? Maybe I should get tested. Is there a test for dyslexia?
Both.
Whoa, dude, you got a gun!
Hey, you finally noticed it.
How cool is that?
No, don't blast the sushi guy. What the fuck? Oh, rip the sushi.
Hey, it's just the sushi guy. Who ordered sushi?
Miss Stockton did.
Jesus, pick up the sushi and see Miss Stockton gets it. And don't touch anything in there.
The way that they were so casual about that, just oh, hey, just a sushi guy. Who ordered sushi? Ah, just the sushi guy we just blasted dead. Oh, well, I got the sushi's intact at least. Who's blue? Yeah, what is that blue thing? Bird. Why are you just alone out here? Where is she? Oh. So they blasted the sushi guy.
Be careful out there.
Thanks, man. I don't have the sniper anymore. Just sniped it from up here. Intel revolver. Is that what he had on display? Gideon Jones. Gideon Jones' revolver. The legendary Gideon Jones. I'd believe it, they're both cowboys. Maybe they're in the same family. I can become the samurai. This is a samurai, this guy. Ay, ay, ay. This is the last thing you see before you die. Honk a W. before you get blasted. Where the hell is she going? Hitman ancestor. The green ancestor of this guy. It's a cheeseburger. Hey, burger. Mixed together with cheeseburger. This fire could be more engulfing. How so, 47?
You know, Mr. Dexter shot all the animals on the exhibit.
Man, I get the freaking chills every time I watch.
Are we on the 4? No, it's the 5. It is the 5, but yeah, it says PS4 in the title, just... It's the PS4 version of the game. But I'm still playing it with a PS4 controller.
What about a tiger? No. What about chicken?
Yeah, that's me too.
What about fish?
Oh, Nightbot. Why are you panicking again, Nightbot? So confusing, you asshole. Yeah, yeah, what it says in the title is really, it's just a version of the game that we're playing. She has 3 fucking men following her, Jesus. He's 5454, you last name. Well, if this makes it any easier, then nowadays we usually only play DBD. That's the only PS4 game we really play nowadays. That makes it any easier. Not the only PS4 game, but like that's the only game we play on the PS4 is DBD. What the fuck does this do? Yeah, we really only use the PS4 for DVD these days. This is visual and safe in the whale skeleton. Oh. Well, I guess we'll just wait for her to come over here. Exactly, I do. It feels way too weird playing it on the 5. It like runs smoothly, and it's at a stable FPS, and it just feels fucking wrong. That everything is just so smooth, and everything just works, and the menu isn't laggy. And it doesn't take 5 minutes to load into the Resident Evil map. It just feels weird.
So
I like my broken DVD.
You kidding me? What, he bought it from a museum or what? Did you not see the painting of Mr. Dexter with Moby Dick over there?
He killed that thing?
With his own hands. Well, with a harpoon.
Slightly note it down. You gotta make it laggy on PS5. Then I'll play it on PS5. Then I'll play it on PS5 because it just feels wrong that it runs so well. It doesn't feel right. Do you mind me playing a 360 game with an original Xbox controller and a Series X? The Omega combo. Omega combination. Xboxes. Fucking release it. Destroying something beautiful. Like a phantom. I was never there. Tap me on the jaw when you have questions. So it's just like, okay, real quick. There is this one perk called Small Game. What does that do? And everything. Could always do that, yeah. Me supplying you with all the DBD info. So you don't have to play it yourself. Oh, wait, this is where it came from. I'll have fun. Have fun learning more about DBD. And all its 64 characters and over 100 different perks. Who the fuck? Oh, there's a guy right there.
Stop that now.
Okay, well.
Off with this guy.
Here knows all you need to know. Yeah, I might. With the small 4,000 hours we've clocked into it. No, so what the fuck? It's the boss. The god gamer himself with the raid. Appreciate the raid, boss.
The boss? Who the fuck is the boss?
It's the guy that just raided us. That's who the fuck the boss is. With his white people happy raid. The boss. How was it? How was the Paper Mario? Just in time to witness the end of this movie.
Layla, get your ass up here. We're leaving. You, move. Inside the chopper. I'm gonna take you apart atom by atom and breed you like a prize bull. Oh, don't look so shocked, girl. After all, they grew you in a test tube. My lab should be
Right at home. Oh, don't tell me you didn't know. No, this is just too goddamn precious.
You bastard! Get away from me!
Oh my god, she's going full Steven Seagal on them. What that ended so strangely. Stupid smile. That's my girl. Wow, I got the shadow title. Told you. I'm just like a phantom. That was never there. But I see. You're just slaying some Goombas and Toads. Nice. Just slaying some payable Goombas and Toads. Trying to save Princess Peach. Nice. That was nice and comfy. Vroom. Wait, that's him. He's doing his signature stance with the pistols. So edgy. Get him, Agent Wick. Oh, I thought you were gonna shoot them. Part 3 countdown. I've already put her into my next film. Holy fuck, why are we playing DBD all of a sudden? Where'd all this fog come from?
Negative, sir. We have zero visibility down here. Need more time. Over. Get it done.
This is crazy. Blowing up your own building to stop one guy? If you ask me, the boss is starting to slip.
Okay.
The boss is starting to slip.
Layla's down there with the man who killed his son. Where the hell are the rest of those charges? Like that would put anyone on edge.
The boss?
Who the fuck is the boss? Exactly. The fuck? Can I really shoot the? Wait, I can do this. And nobody suspects the thing. Octodad. Wait, what? I get that.
2 units, 1 chopper. Am I the only one doing the math here? If Dexter snaps and hits that detonator, we're not all gonna make it out of here.
I know. Don't think about it, okay? Just get the job done. Pass me that wire. Whoa.
Oh, they saw the
Anyone got
body.
extra fuses?
Ew, DBD. Not DBD. Can I just shoot this guy?
What the?
What the?
Go check that noise out. Roger.
Got nothing on the Steven stands.
Stay alert and
The signature Steven stands. Yeah, nothing can beat that.
lines are rigged around sectors A and C. Watch your steps. We don't want a chain reaction on our hands.
Hey.
Check out a possible intruder. Stand by.
Man requesting medevac ASAP. Got a casualty.
He's so casual about his dead friend. What? Wait, why are we yelling? Excuse me. What? What happened? Was something really loud? Wait, what am I supposed to do here? Just fucking die, I guess? I'm supposed to shoot them? How does no one find this suspicious? Correct. But you can walk around? Oh well. Does that work too? Has a secret room? What's in the secret room? Another Easter egg?
I'm sorry. You're safe now. It's okay.
My boy. Forgive
My
me,
boy.
Minnie. My money.
Your money?
Come on.
Stop that.
Let's go.
That probably just turns him on.
It's over.
Dear 47, if you read this letter, I am most likely dead. You will have shot me for a traitor, and Travis will have won. Do not let him have the girl as well. Travis's division was conducting genetic experiments without the agency's knowledge, and Victoria was their crowning achievement. Give her the choice you never had. Protect Victoria and kill Benjamin Travis.
Epilogue. Absolution. Wow, I wonder, is this the final mission? I mean, you can tell me. You can tell me what the secret is. Because I'm probably just gonna Google what it is after this.
We've located the Burnwood family gravesite.
The title drop.
Honestly, I don't know what you expect to find.
Oh, you can't remember it? Oh, okay. We'll figure out what it is after this.
Burnwood died that day. We have the police and autopsy reports. 47 himself confirmed the kill. What more do you want?
We've underestimated 47 more than once. No, I don't buy it.
Bernard is more than capable of faking.
Sniper relief time.
Command, the area is not clear. Someone must be in the...
Absolution. Like a certain Steven movie. Oh my god. Maybe that's where they got the idea. The name of this game. Monka bless. Bless. We must pray now, brothers. What is up with the texture? What is happening? See this shit?
Huh? Command, you got a casualty. Proceeding with caution.
Man, I ain't see anything. I ain't seen nothing. This game is perfect. Yeah, this game is perfection, isn't it? Out there unrelated. How has that guy not seen me yet?
I got one down. No visual, but evident sign of target's position. We'll investigate.
Man, where did he go? Holy shit. Oh, I'm reloading. Call of Duty 47. Oh, he ducked. Oh wow, that's cool. That I can actually break. Why is this guy just walking in? Fucking Omega clueless. Is it her? What? Where is she? Where is she? Where? Gasoline can. 10 out of 10 AI. The guy's just walking in cash. He's like, where? Where's the 47 girl? Where? Who are we shooting at? My head is so shiny.
Management already suspects you lied about the Hope operation. And when they hear you pooled these kind of resources to close down a cemetery, they're gonna start demanding answers. The real reason Burnwood went rogue, your little science project, everything could get exposed. I'm not going down because you're obsessed with a dead woman.
Management will believe what I tell them to believe. You wanted to play in the big leagues. Well, this is your chance.
Why can't I pick up the brick?
Done or start writing up your own epitaph.
Well, that's the exit. Wow, sick takedown. Shh. Go to sleep. Oh my god, that tablet is so shiny. Lens flare. We were in a fucking cave. Why is it so shiny? Okay, am I supposed to kill her?
Diana.
She's not red. Eliminate. Oh, well, say no more.
Don't
That was never here. Like a phantom. That guy was Omega unaware. Holy shit, here comes the cavalry. Gotta loop him, man. Loop him like it's Dead by Daylight. Now, there's just one problem. Now they're all near camping the exit gate. This guy! What do you mean, this guy? Like a DVD reference, isn't it? Yeah. What? That's true though. Wow, he's too close to his friend. Fine, they're leaving anyways. Nice. Like a phantom. He was never here. What?
We are on high alert.
You see?
Shoot anyone who approaches. If you really are the best, this is the time to prove it.
Wrecked. John Hoplon. Not John. Yep, he's gone. He disappeared at a fit air. Jack. Nice. One bullet. And that final bullet is for the big man himself. They're both Stephen names. John Jack. John Harmond. Paris blocked the door. Have to deal with him once and for all. This is your fucking come to Jesus moment, Travis. I think it is with a D. A personal contract. Okay.
You never did get it, did you, you big ball fuck? She was made to be a killer, just like you. It was gonna be perfect. Just tell me, did you kill her? Diana. Is she really dead?
You will never know.
Fucking flashbang, and then the game's over. Hitman Absolution. Wait, well, wait, there's more. Hitman Absolution 2. Fuck no. Oh my gosh, he's alive. Oh my god. That 47? It is. Watching over them. Reach for the stars.
Excellent work, 47. The money has been wired to your account. Welcome back. And thank you.
No problem. Oh, but wait, there's more. This detective guy. You already the game's over. Why are you still have more cutscenes?
Who are you?
Pitch and shit guy.
You really want to know? Because I can help you find them. For a price, of course.
Oh my god. That's the hint to the sequel? Well, thank fuck that never happened. Thank God that never happened. Thank God they changed their mind. Wait, what is this credit music? Excuse me? Yeehaw, brothers. This music. What is this music? Just so out of place. Didn't know this is a Steven Seagal movie, he says. Yeah. This is like something you'd hear at the end of a Steven movie. What the fuck, man? What? Song's already over? Oh, that was quick. I'm excited. We don't want a second Absolution. Yeah, I'm glad they scrapped that idea and instead we stayed in the correct timeline and got Hitman World of Assassination instead. We didn't go down the bad timeline and got a sequel to this. Tell me something epic. Oh, what happened? What's up? Yeah, glad they completely. I'm glad they completely scrapped the sequel to this. I mean, the human shield thing could still have been a cool thing. Then the point shooting could have been fun too, but it's a good thing they got rid of it because, you know, it promotes murdering everyone and going on a rampage. Which is not really what the game's about. Oh shit, that sounds like an amazing time. Wait, is it playing in the Liquor Kona song now? Yeah, get your colleague from work and just Steven. Show him a masterpiece of a Steven movie. I'm sure he'll love it. On Track to Kill. Wait, why is it so tiny? Never trust it. You can never trust it. But that's what they say. Yeah, I bet he's gonna like that. I bet he's gonna like that Contract to Kill. It's full of amazing Steven lines. Food canteen team. Wait, what? Pog, dude. They shouted out the fucking canteen squad. Nice. People fuck. And mocap actors. Only Agent 47's mocap actor was specifically listed. The next one we'll watch. Ah, yeah, that one, the next Steven movie we're gonna watch. That one also just looks really strange. Belly of the Beast. Well, how'd you like the movie, gentlemen? It was certainly something. Like I said throughout the whole thing is... I agree, it was something. It feels like a game from an alternate dimension. Hideo Kojima's Lens Flare 47 Adventures. Such an odd game. But hey, we finally got to finish it. And this, I believe, I think this might actually be like the first game we've even finished this year. Well, now we can cross this off the to-do list as well. This game just never happened. Yeah. It's crazy to even happen in the first place. NVIDIA. This game uses boost. Hitman Absolution HD. Are you ready for an uncall? Let's go. Round 2 with the credits, boys. No, let me out of here. Oh, I agree. That was the game.